Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shay Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. I want to welcome Lisa Ritter on our episode today. Lisa and her husband work together and are the founders of Remax Results. Together, they have helped over 1,000 families find their home. They have received the Best of Omaha award for 11 years in a row now and have earned the opportunity to support hundreds of families with their real estate needs. They are able to accomplish this through a team of industry experts, from an amazing photographer, a phenomenal social media expert, to an outstanding administrative staff. Lisa and her husband have been able to successfully relocate 10 different times, invest in many investment properties, and grow a team, all while raising 2 children. So I like to start every episode with a motivational quote, and today's quote, actually, I have 2 of them. Is, success really starts with your mindset. And the other one is, there are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure, which is by Colin Powell. So Lisa, thank you so much to the episode of Real Moms Community. I appreciate your time.
I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, what got you started in entrepreneurship? How did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah. So I got into real estate because it looked like a fun job of selling homes. And it also met the needs of being able to have what I perceived to be a flexible schedule. Turned out to be you just work a lot. But, what I perceived to be a flexible schedule, because I had a son with health issues that we really had to spend some serious time, emotional, and financial energy navigating initially, very quick. And so real estate looked like the best solution, and it turned out it was, yes.
So what were you doing before?
A little bit of everything. Well, no, not a little bit of everything. I actually started in telemarketing. That used to be a big thing in the Omaha, Nebraska area, for like lots of headquarters and things like that. And I did that from like 15 to my mid-20s. I actually did my first national business trip consulting at a phone company at 19.
Oh my God.
Now, at that age, I've always looked older than my age, and that doesn't serve me well anymore. It was quite a ride. And then by my mid-20s, I was already burnt out on corporate life. Mm-hmm. And I had Daniel, who was going through his stuff. So I decided I'm going to stay home and babysit other people's kids for money. Yep. Well, that wasn't me either. That did not work at all. So I decided to get into real estate.
That is amazing. I would say that the telemarketing probably helps set you up to become resilient, to make those phone calls, because nobody likes cold calling. But when that's specifically and legitimately your job, you're going to get used to it. And you just know that you just have to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is exactly what real estate is. You have to do the things that you don't want to, even when you know that you need to.
It gave me great intestinal fortitude, I call it.
I believe it. I served as a case manager for mentally ill adults. I was a bartender. And I think between the 2 of those, my patience on point. So,
for sure. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your journey. This is going to take you back. What were some of the emotions or thoughts going through your head before you took that leap? Because getting into real
Yeah.
estate or getting into any sort of entrepreneurship, you are going to go through a series or a period ongoing of consistent income, no
Yeah.
income, and things like that. So tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
It was a scary start because I needed a consistent paycheck. And I actually started out doing both, which was hard because I had to take care of Daniel. And then Dylan was a newborn, like right as I got in. So I was like, how am I going to do this? I just don't even know. There's not going to be enough hours in the day. But when you want something bad enough and decide it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And, my philosophy of success starts with a mindset. It really starts at the decision of this is going to happen
Mhm.
and it's going to be beautiful. And there's going to be hard moments, but
Mhm.
you plow through. The person that we speak to the most is ourselves. And so we have to change the messaging when we see it going awry.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that in the beginning because there was a lot of worry, a lot of figuring things out that were super uncomfortable, but you just keep pushing through. And the best way to push through, I feel like, is to keep putting one foot in front of the other
Yeah.
and not think about, okay, I have to get, 20, 30, 40, 50 homes sold this year. Think about what do I have to do next in the next hour to get towards my goal?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's breaking that down. So one example of that is, I don't know if you ever listened to Rob Dial. He's the mindset mentor. He's got a podcast.
Mm.
Love him. I have listened to almost every
Okay.
one of his episodes. Highly recommend him. But one of his episodes was about, like, when you go over to somebody's house and they have this huge meal for you, you don't get anxiety because you're not worried about eating all of that in one bite. You're going to sit down and take one bite at a time. Or if you
Yeah.
have to eat an elephant, you're not going to eat the whole elephant at one time. You have to
Right.
take those small little bites. And that's the same with life. That's the same with business. And people need to understand that, because we're in this world of immediate gratification
Yeah.
and we want it now, myself included.
Yeah.
But we have to realize that slow and steady wins the race. That,
For sure.
I see people grow so rapidly and so quickly, and it all comes tumbling down later. And
Yes.
so
Agreed.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen that throughout the years, that holy moly, what are they doing to grow so fast? But then shortly later, it might take a couple years or 5 years, but it all comes crumbling down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you weren't ready for that sort of success and sustainability. You didn't
Yes.
have that foundation set in order to grow like that. And we just need to be
Yes.
patient.
Yes. And one of the things that helped me too is my foundation of faith. That's a big deal to me. For me, I can't do anything apart from the man upstairs, and gratitude every day and the mindset of everything works together for our good. A person that I'm a big fan of is Mel Robbins.
Oh yeah, very much
Yeah.
so. Mm-hmm.
And she just did a podcast yesterday on synchronicity and how it's really the secret to a life that feels good. And I thought, gosh, I got to hear more about this. And the concept was always thinking in terms of everything is working for us.
Yes.
And it can
And
be
not to
tempting
us.
to forget that concept, especially when things feel like they're crashing around you. And we all have those moments of feeling like it's crashing around us. For me, recently the NAR settlement it took me back. Honestly, it took my breath away. I wasn't expecting it now. To be honest, I was expecting it 5 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
just because of our political nature of where things are at in our culture.
Yeah.
And so it took my breath away, and I found myself having to go back to all the important concepts that I try to teach my agents about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about navigating and adjusting to the trajectory of where things are going. Because
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with entrepreneurship and mompreneurship is it's not a slow, steady race. Like, it's not
Mhm.
just an uphill climb. Like, you have to adjust. You have to find
Yeah.
out, because if you don't adjust with the market and with life, you're going to lose. You're going to fall behind. Just like Blockbuster versus Netflix, just like Kodak versus the digital world of photography. You have to adjust and adapt. Otherwise, look at Shopko. They went out of business because they
Yeah.
weren't doing the online thing. And you have to adjust with where the market is going or you will lose.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, off the podcast, you had talked about how your kids were very successful. So now tell
Yeah.
us like the journey when your kids were
Yes.
super little, how that went. You've made several moves. I mean,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. So I am excited to be where I'm at in life because everything, frankly, that I ever dreamed of for my kids has really come true. They're both in professions and on paths that they love. And I do feel like they got there a little easier than me, but it goes back to the
It's not fair, is it?
foundation.
I know.
So my 27-year-old, just to set the stage, he is a cybersecurity engineer for Apple. And oh, he's just doing fantastic. He
But
gets
yet you said
embarrassed
you were
when
bad
I
with technology, right?
I'm super bad. Now he won't help me with that. It's sad, but he's a great kid otherwise. He just
Yeah.
gets too frustrated teaching me tech. And then my second one is in his second year or he's going to start his second year of law school in the fall. He received a full tuition scholarship to law school, which is very hard to get at
Wow.
a top 50 school.
Yeah.
He scored a
Amazing.
170 on his LSAT. So I'm a little bit proud.
I would be. Apps, don't be a little bit proud. You got to be a lot of bit proud.
I am. And here's the deal with my kids. I used to take them to the zoo a lot. And I recently took my youngest in the last year or two, back when he was home visiting, to the zoo. And I said, Dylan, I'm so sorry for all the times that I was on the phone trying to answer clients' questions during our zoo trips. You know what he said to me? He
Mm.
said, Mom, I do not remember how much you were on the phone during the zoo. I remember you bringing me here to the zoo. Thank you.
I do goosebumps because I can
Isn't
relate to that. That gives me goosebumps because we do worry that about that as
Yeah,
parents. And we do
yeah,
need to be cognizant of it because you
yeah,
don't want to always be on it. But that does make me feel good because
yeah.
yeah.
The other thing, I think part of the reason they got to where they are, and they would both just say, oh, we're just really smart. And they are. They got that from their dad. But I made them listen to all the podcasts with
Yeah.
me in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was such a big. They know who Darren Hardy is. They know who Brian Buffini is. They know all Zig Ziglar. You
Yeah.
name it, they know it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they give as much credit to that for their success as it really needs to be in there someday once they have kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, it's just, I think that as moms, one of the pieces of advice that I would give to you for those of you that are going through the thick of it is quit being so hard on yourselves,
Mhm.
trying to have a successful career
Mhm.
and feeling guilt about it.
Yeah.
For thousands of years, women had to forage the forest, maybe even take their wares to the market, tailor things, do other people's laundries, and not pay attention to their kids 24/7. So
Mhm.
stop it. Get over the guilt
Mhm.
and let yourself live in freedom and be proud of the work that they're watching you do.
Yeah.
you know and do give them moments where you can be completely present. When we go on vacation, we really vacation,
Yeah.
and that was my oldest son's favorite memories. We got the gift of being able to take them to a lot of cool places, even traveling internationally in their later years.
Yeah.
And that gift of travel taught them that they can do anything, go anywhere, be anything. And when they were young, we used to be proud, like when they're babies,
Mhm.
proud when we could take them to Kansas City. So it
Mhm.
was really nice as they were graduating high school and college that we got to take them to different places in the world, including
Yes.
St. Petersburg, Russia, and stuff like that. And so be proud of the journey that you're traveling with your children.
Yeah.
Be present and really be present when you can, but don't feel guilty about the work life, and have them watch you do those
Yeah.
negotiations, have those creative moments and all that good stuff, because it's worth it and it does them good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I truly believe that this sounds terrible, but I think that they would learn so much more if my kids just hung out with me all day than going to school.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah, for
sounds
sure.
bad, but They are so involved with my business, whether it's going to open houses with me, going to
Yes.
showings. I've had to take them to listing appointments. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it financially it wasn't making sense, like what these people were telling me. And I look up in the rearview mirror, and my daughter, who's 9, was giving me this weird look where she was just like, her wheels were spinning.
Right.
After I got off the phone, I said, "Did that make sense to you at all?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Mm-hmm. Yeah, no."
Right.
Financially, people don't, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But they listen and they tune
Yes.
in and they understand those things. So I've been a big morning person really my whole life, but I really got into it the last 3 years. I've always worked out in the mornings. That's just what works best for me. But I started reading, listening to podcasts, meditating, all those things. So here recently, probably within the last 6 months, my kids have wanted to get up early in the morning because I get up at 4:15.
Oh, wow. Good for you,
Yes.
Shay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. And sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like that's not even enough time, as crazy as it is, but I don't like being rushed. So, but here lately, my kids want to get up in the morning too. They want to get up at 5:30. And this morning, I think they get up because one, they like that it's not rushed. And then two, they want to watch a little TV because they don't get the TV unless they get everything done. But if they're going to get up that early, they're going to read a book. They're going to do some exercises.
Yeah.
They're gonna get their
Nice.
teeth brushed, their clothes on. We had to do homework this morning too. But they're fine. Like they know
Yeah.
that they get up and they do those things, then you can watch a little bit of TV.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's really fun to see your kids kind of picking up the habits
Oh, for sure.
that we do without forcing it upon them, just because kids
Yes,
learn from repetition and kids learn from seeing and
for
not from
sure.
me telling them. Like if I told
Yeah.
them, hey, get up in the morning and do
Right.
these things, but I wasn't, they're not doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now have you had to take your kids to showings and things like that?
You know, I did once in a while, I think, to showings, but luckily Dennis during that time, so he had a nice cushy corporate job the first year I was in real estate, which was great.
Yeah.
And then the office closed. And so he said he was going to do what he always wanted to do, which is going to go into home loans, which is a commission job.
Oh,
And I literally cried for 2 days. I remember crying for 2 days. And then all of a sudden, like it was just impressed upon my heart of, hey, Lisa, you got your leap of faith. It's time to let him have his turn. And that also turned out to be a great, great decision. He did that for about a decade, but he had banker's hours. So what would happen is I would primarily work on the evenings and weekends, and he would work during the day. So
yeah.
I didn't have to take them on too much, but they heard a lot of phone calls.
Oh, I'm sure. I
Yeah,
am sure. Yeah, that's amazing. So you took that leap of
yeah,
faith for you, and within a year, I mean, that's a little gut
yeah.
wrenching. That's scary
Oh,
because I'm sure that one year you weren't just crushing it. You know what I mean?
right.
You were
Yeah.
still building yours. And so taking that leap of faith, and
Oh, yeah.
the corporate world is no guarantee. It's
Yeah.
not a guarantee, which a lot of
Right.
people need to realize that too. Nothing's a guarantee. There's always
That's so
things.
true. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah. And I think that concept has helped me a lot too,
Mhm.
to acknowledge that for me in my mind, with the way that I think only one thing is permanent, and that's God, and having that knowledge of nothing is permanent, whether good or bad, can also be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. It's interesting because when I got into real estate, changed brokerages not too long ago, but mainly because I resonated with somebody so much that his 5 core values were faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. And
Mhm.
really, he strives about those first 3 things:
Mhm.
faith first,
Mhm.
your health, and then your relationships. And that's a foundation because if you don't
Yeah.
have that, and you can have faith in anything. I'm not saying I really
Right.
don't care your religion, Christianity,
Right.
you just have to have faith in something and something of
Right.
higher power than you
Yeah.
because we can't do this alone. And
It's,
my biggest goal has been to get closer to God. And I actually recently started reading John Maxwell's
mm,
Leadership Bible. Really
mhm.
good. For me, kind of dummies down the Bible because I've
Mhm.
tried reading it many times and it gets to be pretty complex for me. There's a lot
Yeah.
of, so this Leadership Bible by John Maxwell has been really insightful, really
Nice.
educational, and I'm loving it. But that's
He's
been
a fantastic leader.
oh yeah, I met him last year. Just such a humble, down to earth guy.
Yep.
So is very much. Have you always been somebody of faith?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And
Yep.
it plays a big part. And I'm sure over the years, I mean, has your faith ever been tested?
Oh, for sure. My gosh, too many times to count, but when I'm good, I get back to it. I think it's inauthentic to say that it doesn't fluctuate.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they say? Breakdown is a set, or what is it? A setback is a setup for a comeback. And I think
Nice.
that
Yeah.
that's accurate in every aspect of life. You're going to have those days where your faith is tested, your business is tested, your mindset is tested, but
Yeah.
you got to power through those hard moments. And when you do, you flourish. And you're
Yeah.
probably going to have that again. Because, for example, like I had like a mental breakdown last year. Don't know why. It was the craziest thing. And so many things went through my mind. I'm like, I'm going to go back to the W-2 job. I'm not going to do this
Yeah.
real estate thing anymore. This is
Yeah.
absolutely like all these
Yeah.
things. And I thought to myself, no, like you have to keep going. It will get
Right.
better. And it ended up being the best year. It was the
Good.
weirdest thing. Like
Yeah.
I was going to, it was going to be the worst year I had. And then I had this breakdown, big time breakdown.
Yeah.
And I got through it and ended up being my best year yet.
Nice. That's a great story.
Yes. So where did you start with your journey in real estate? And then, or I guess what we should talk about is where are you now and where do you foresee your real estate journey going? Because your husband works with you as a real estate agent.
He does. Yes.
Okay.
And we own Remax Results together.
Okay.
And, we look at this job as an opportunity to change lives for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission is to change lives for the better, one relationship at a time, by making real estate dreams a reality. And it's a mouthful. I know we should probably technically shorten it, but that's what we do. We take it one relationship at a time. And so I look at the people that come into our lives as each its own special deal. I do think that our work is our ministry. And when you're doing your job right, especially as a real estate agent, you're leading somebody through one of the hardest decisions of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're buying or selling, it's usually one of the biggest assets that they have. And it can be stressful, even if they're making a move up. But
Mm-hmm.
we are entrusted with working a lot of people who may be going through divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, a job relocation, you name it. There's all kinds of reasons. So it's a big deal
Mm-hmm.
when we're entrusted with it. And so I guess what I'm saying is we've had our own brokerage for 13 years, and I don't know specifically how many more lives God wants us to entrust, but we're taking it one relationship at a time.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that model because so many times agents are so focused on chasing the next deal rather than
Mhm.
focusing on that one transaction. I've always told the agents that I've worked with or coached or mentored that it's stop chasing the next deal. If you are
Mhm.
authentic and you are true and you're truly there to serve your clients, it will naturally come. It's going to be a slow and steady,
Yeah,
but it will happen. And you just have to
yeah,
give that time. And yeah, I mean, I see so many agents that go through this and they don't care what it takes. They're just going to get the deal done, whether it's in
yeah,
the best interest of the client or not.
right.
And it drives me crazy. I'm like,
Yeah,
how have you not walked through the steps with your client?
yeah, right. No, I
Yeah.
see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I do think, for me, real estate, I think it should be a full-time profession when you're leading somebody through one of the biggest assets of their lives. And that's why I have invested time into watching a lot of podcasts. That's really been my college education and learning through lots of industry training and life leadership training. I have a Tony Robbins coach, which by the way is the one of the best investments that a person could ever make. Oh my gosh, I just fantastic.
What is the process of doing that? Because I've loved Tony Robbins.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. And I mean, I have been coached by various people throughout my life because I believe that you should lean into other people for instruction sometimes. And especially, I think it can be important to get it like an unbiased opinion,
Yes.
somebody who doesn't have an agenda for
Uh-huh.
you. And really, it just takes a lot of money.
Mhm. Well, money and time.
Frankly, it's expensive,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like it is 10 times better than anything I've ever had.
So I've paid a lot of money, spent a lot of time on investments. I've made sillier mistakes, but you know what? I always view everything. Yeah, I could look back and kick myself and be like, that was not smart. That was dumb. But that's not going to do anything for me. You move on.
Right.
Okay, you know what? Take everything that you've done and you take it as a lesson or tuition,
Yeah,
good or
for
bad,
sure.
you
Yep.
know? So it might be expensive and it might be timely, but the return that you would have on it, because I've heard that from many people that Tony Robbins coaching is. So have you ever met him?
No, I haven't
No,
gone to one of the seminars yet, but
you
I'm
have
going to
not.
do that. Yeah,
So
in the next year or two.
is his trainings, are they like virtual? Are they like at your own pace kind of
I
thing
do a 30-minute coaching session every week.
with somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
like I have a coach. I've really had a coach since I first got into real estate. I've changed
Mhm.
some coaches. I've done different things, but I've had a coach over the last year, almost a year, and best thing I could have done because kind of like
Yeah.
you have somebody who's one working with 100 other agents who are extremely successful so that they can take what they're doing and give you that
Yeah.
suggestions and the advice. And it's accountability though, too.
Yeah. And what I like about the Tony Robbins coaching is that it addresses your whole life, not just a piece of it, like your business life, because you really need all the different components to be working together to
Mhm.
experience your best life.
Yeah. And I think I have, so my sponsor with EXP, he's always said, I don't care whether you're going through good things, bad things, like everybody should have a therapist. And he said that needs to
Yeah.
be standardized and more common because a therapist, just like a coach,
Yeah.
looks at your life from a 10,000 viewpoint.
Yeah.
It's like changing the oil in your vehicle. You don't change the oil when you're having issues, you change the oil before you have issues.
Right.
That's a good way to
Yeah.
put it, you
Yeah.
know?
I like it.
And it's just, yeah, it just helps people realize that you don't need to be ashamed of having a therapist. And we all need a therapist. We
Yeah.
all have mental health problems.
Yes, for sure. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So no, that's awesome. So how is it working with your husband? Because that's
Yeah.
got to be a change though, too.
It has its good days and bad days. We have been together, we met at 15. I
Wow.
am now 51. So we have been together a lot. We
Yeah.
actually started working together. We met through Dennis's sister, but he quickly got a job where I was because it paid really well.
Yeah.
So we've been working together a lot, off and on throughout our career. And the best advice I have for anyone that is working with a spouse
Uh-huh.
or a family member is to divide and conquer and
Mm,
let each other have autonomy in certain areas.
I love that.
Yeah, when we get up in each other's business that things start to go sideways again. So autonomy is a beautiful, wonderful thing that I highly recommend for family members working together.
I love that because I think that also goes into your relationship roles and
Yeah,
roles as parents,
yeah.
and establishing that because a couple years ago, my husband got into real estate and then that
Oh,
changed,
okay.
the trajectory of our relationship as well, kind of
Yes.
put a little bit more tension on things because,
Yeah,
it stress.
it
And
does. Yeah, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So we did therapy. It was just a virtual one. But one of the biggest things that she talked about, because what I stressed about a lot is whenever we would go on vacation, like him and I for business or
Yeah,
vacation, just the two of us,
yeah.
I got so stressed because I was making sure somebody was watching the kids. We knew where they were going to go. I'm
Mhm.
writing the letter for like health and making sure that there are health insurance, like
Yeah,
people who have our health insurance. I'm coordinating where the dogs are going. I'm getting everything
right.
packed. I'm booking the hotel. I'm booking the flight. And then all he has to do is wake up and just go.
Right,
So like
right.
I
Yeah,
started having a lot of resentment. And
yeah.
so the biggest thing that she talked about is okay, what can we do that when you guys are going on vacation together, what's his job and what's your job?
Yes,
And
right.
honestly, the
Yeah,
biggest thing that helped us was he took care of the dogs. I handled
yeah,
everything else. That sounds so small.
yeah.
That sounds so small. But by him doing that, I just was like, okay, you figure
Right,
it out. I've had
right.
to step in and do it, help a little bit. But most of the time he is,
Yeah,
and that makes a world of a difference. I mean,
it
just
does.
that little bit that you both know what your
Right,
roles are when you're going on vacation makes a big difference.
for sure. Agreed.
So I love that autonomy dynamic, but I
Yes,
think that also plays over into your personal lives too.
it does, for sure. Yeah, we know what to expect of each other most of the time.
Mhm.
And, it's when we don't live up to those expectations that things
Yes.
get off track.
Yeah. And then maybe we don't communicate, we let it go, and then it builds up, and then
Possibly.
we finally, I've never done that. I've never done that.
Oh, me either. No way.
What's wrong? Nothing. I'm fine. Mhm.
Oh, yes. When I get quiet is when it's the most dangerous.
Yes, I know. Because then it's already been building up for a while. And you're like,
Yes.
shoot, now how do I approach this? Because now I feel like if I say something, I'm just going to blow up.
Yes. Yes.
Poor men. I really do feel sorry for men. My husband always says, he's like, I don't even want to know what's going on in your head. And I'm like, you don't. You don't.
Right.
Because I get up and I just decide on a whim that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I did 75 hard last year. I literally
Oh,
remember I
wow.
woke up on
Nice.
December 28th. I was working out, listened to, actually, it was a ad on YouTube while I was listening to the music and it was about 75 hard. And I'm like, well, shit, now I got to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that day I committed to it. And he's like, why don't you just wait 3 more days after the new year and do it? I'm like, that day on New Year's isn't going to do anything for me. So I completed the 75 hard.
Good
I
for
woke up one
you.
day and I committed to it. And,
Nice.
but I will say I would never have been able to do it if it wasn't for him. He was
Nice.
a huge support through the entire process.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yes. Yeah. So how many people do you guys have on your team then?
We have 30 realtors at our brokerage,
Oh my goodness.
including
Okay.
us. Mhm.
Wow. Yeah. So is that a lot to manage
It
and
is. Most of them produce a substantial amount of real estate, which is helpful
yeah.
because they're very experienced agents. So that is, in most cases, not all. But yeah, I feel like the saying, I've come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
But there's always room for some comparison is a really bad thing. Right as I was saying that, I was like, oh, well, but you haven't gone as far as you really should have, blah, blah, blah. Like, isn't that amazing what we do to ourselves? Just opening up and sharing that guilty message that just went through my head. But there's a saying I go back to when I say things like that, and is God doesn't want you to compare yourself to how others have done, but what have you done with what you've been given?
Yeah.
And I am going to go back to the fact that I think it is one relationship at a time. And I've been given the perfect amount and the perfect people at the exact right time for the exact right reason.
Yep. Yep. You were saying before that things happen for you. And I truly
Yes.
believe that everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And you also said that like sometimes you have like a snowball effect and everything comes crumbling down, but you really do need to have faith. Like I recently have had a couple buyers back out for no reason. They get cold feet and cost of everything has gone up. And I'm like, why? Why is this happening? What's
Right.
going on? And I just have to remind myself, everything happens for a reason. There's a reason God's doing this and have faith that it'll all work out. It's fine.
Absolutely.
And just stay calm. Give yourself peace and give yourself grace.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, I really appreciate you being on the call today.
Yeah,
Lisa, tell me,
thank you.
what is one piece of advice that you could give somebody or maybe even the younger version of yourself when you first got started?
Yeah. Don't let the highs be too high and the lows be too low.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep the faith and put one foot in front of the other, and the right thing will come about, and all things will work together for our good.
Yeah. Yep. And have that faith. I mean, you can't stress that enough. You really,
Yeah,
really cannot. You have to
for
keep
sure.
going. Well, awesome, Lisa. I truly appreciate if anybody, like when they're listening to this and they want to talk to you either about real estate, buying, selling, or being an agent, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So nobody's going to write down a phone number probably from this. So if
You can say it, you never know.
Okay, 40, I would call me, but 402-612-2413. I'm kind of old fashioned like that. Call me, or you can email me, lisa@omahare.com.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for being here and taking time out of your obviously busy day and sharing your knowledge and expertise.
I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you, Shay.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Thanks.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shay J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.